Good evening, everyone. Forecaster Brant Warren here in the Weather Center for you. We're kind of doing something a little bit different now. We're just doing a radar stream. But I see a lot of questions in the comments, so I'm going to try to answer some of them. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. But the general idea of the questions being asked are, well, where is the severe weather? I'm just getting rain. Well, we're going to answer that for you. If somebody in the comments could just let me know that the audio is working, since this is the first attempt on my end at using the audio. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Okay, so we look good. It looks like the audio is good. Thank you, guys. So basically what we're looking at right now is a first round. I'm going to move over here. You see a lot of heavy rain around the area, and that was kind of what the models were hinting at. They hinted at maybe a touch more on the severe side of this first cluster that's moving through. But as you can see, we don't currently have severe weather, so we're monitoring a lot of things on the backside here. The National Weather Service just sent out an update on what to expect later on. We're going to back up here to Indiana, and you see one line of storms that is just east of Muncie. None of these are severe, so we don't have any active warnings in our area. So that's the good news. But you do see this cluster that is east of Muncie, and that's been pretty consistent since it was north of Indianapolis, as it continues to push off to the east, showing a little signs of weakening right now. That doesn't mean that it can't ramp back up again, but right now, no severe weather on that, maybe just some pea-sized hail. Back further to the west, west of Indianapolis, you see a cluster of storms, or rain showers, I should say. And then you see this cluster down here in southern Indiana. And this is one of the areas that we're watching, because you can see from the movement, you can see the general direction of the northeast movement. And this cluster, this line segment right here, is what we're going to be watching over the next few hours to see if this can get going. There's still components or ingredients, parameters, whatever you want to call it, in the atmosphere that are prone to producing tornadoes, straight line winds, and you did see the updated post earlier from the SPC. We still have the moderate risk in place for a good chunk of our coverage area. We do have an enhanced and slight risk as well, not to take away from those. So all modes of severe weather are still possible. We're getting this line through, or this cluster of showers through central Ohio and parts of most of the coverage area. But there's three factors really that we're waiting to see if these storms can get going. This is probably the healthiest this line has looked all day as it's moving into southern Indiana. The three factors that we're really watching is how much the cloud cover is able to break up, how much sunshine is able to make it through and heat up the surface and heat up the atmosphere. That's one of the things. The other thing we're watching is how much stability there is in the atmosphere right now. So right now, over most of the coverage area, it's stable, but the components are still there for severe weather to occur. All the ingredients just have to come together. So I just wanted to come on real quick and let you guys know what we're watching. The main part of our severe weather threat right now is still back in Indiana, and you can see all the way up into, let me switch radar sites here. You can see even some activity into eastern Illinois right now. Another factor, I missed one there. Another factor that we're watching is this rain that is currently moving through the coverage area. How much is that going to stabilize the atmosphere? And these are all questions that, unfortunately, are going to have to be answered basically at a nowcast situation. So we'll have to wait and see when these storms move into that environment. We'll see how destabilized the atmosphere is. But right now, we still have the threat for severe weather later on. It has not diminished entirely. It is still there, and we still maintain that moderate risk from the SPC for later on tonight. So, just wanted to come on, give you guys a briefing of what's going on, because I see a lot of comments here about where's the severe weather? I'm just getting rain. Well, we expected this first round of rain back in Indiana, and I'll go ahead and turn on the radar again for you back here. Back in Indiana, we'll do this radar instead. This is the main concern for severe weather and tornadoes as we move forward here. So, no, this probably won't be a derecho. We're not expecting that. I'm just looking over some other comments here to see if there's any other comments I can answer real quick before we turn the audio back off and go strictly to just the radar again. But I appreciate everybody being on here. So I see a lot of comments about hyping. We were not hyping this situation, the threat for today. It was there, and it still is there. Don't get me wrong. It still is there. We just have to wait and see how the atmosphere reacts with these storms back in southern Indiana and eastern Illinois. So, yes, I see some comments saying it is better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, and I completely agree with you on that. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we try to keep you guys ahead of the storm as much as we can. It's better to over-prepare than to have something happen and not be prepared for it. So, with that, we're going to go back to strictly audio. I appreciate everybody being here, and hopefully that answered some of your questions. But until we need to come back on for another audio break-in, we will switch it back to radar. So thank you guys for being here, and stay with Bell Park Weather Network. Good evening, everybody. Forecaster Brant Warren here in the Weather Center. Again, just jumping back in real quick. Hopefully everybody can hear me just fine. I see some comments coming through with some questions, so we're just going to answer some questions real quick. I won't be able to get to all of them, but I'm just going to give a general synopsis of what's going on right now. So if you were watching earlier, you saw me talking about this line of storms that moved out of Kentucky and eastern Illinois and is now in southern Indiana. I see a lot of questions about, where's the severe weather? Well, this line is what we're watching right now for severe weather. We also have some storms. If I switch radars here and we go to Louisville, you'll be able to see some other storms popping out ahead of this, and we're watching these to see if they would become supercellular in nature. It means all by themselves, no interference from other storms, and that's where you get a lot of your large tornadoes out of the supercell structure storms. But we're also, as I mentioned, watching this line that did not have any warnings on it about 20 minutes ago, and now it has a tornado warning for Evansville. We'll zoom in here real quick. You see this bow, or this hook right here with this inflow notch right here. That's kind of right where you'd see the circulation on this storm. So as this progresses closer, we're watching it very closely to see if how it interacts with the atmosphere as it continues to move off to the northeast. Yes, this will move into our Indiana counties first, and then eventually into Ohio. We'll have to see how this line holds together. If it's able to, strengthen from what it is now, produce more, produce less, we'll have to see when we get there. But I do have the categorical outlook on, and you see this pink kind of area right here. That is where we have the greatest risk for severe weather. That is a moderate risk that is not issued very often around this area. We get it maybe once every couple years, if not maybe twice a year sometimes. It just depends on the setup and how the parameters are for the day of severe weather. But that right there in that pink area is where we have the greatest risk for severe weather today. Now, with that being said, the moderate risk is this kind of orange line, and then you have the yellow line, which outlines the slight risk, and then you have the marginal. Now, we're not trying to take away from those areas. All modes of severe weather are possible across our entire coverage area today. But the greatest risk is in that moderate risk right there, and that's where we're watching over the next couple hours how this line and how these supercell structures interact with the atmosphere as it gets into parts of our coverage area. Now, three things that we're watching for to determine, it's really going to determine how strong these storms are going to be when they get into our coverage area. Number one, we've had a lot of rain today, and whether that has put a damper on the atmosphere, we won't know until the storms get into the areas that have been impacted by a lot of rain today and see how much energy is left in the atmosphere. So, and the second thing is everything has to come together at the right moment to create severe weather. So there's a lot of factors to think about that have to come together to be able to produce the severe weather. So the third thing that we're watching for is cloud cover. We've had some breaking of the clouds across the moderate risk area, or that pink area you see there. And we actually have a couple of our forecasters that are chasing today. And they say that once the sun comes out, you can start feeling the heat in the air. And for many of you that have lived through many severe weather days here in Ohio, you know that when the sun comes out, it energizes the atmosphere to a point that it enhances the risk for severe weather. So we're seeing some of that across eastern Indiana and southwestern Ohio. We'll have to watch how long the clouds are out. Again, there's a lot of factors today that are going to factor into how much severe weather we have today. How long the sun is out, where the clouds break, and in those areas are the other factors that we're looking for. Are those going to come together at the right moment to produce the severe weather? So by all means, the threat is not over. I cannot stress that enough. The threat for severe weather is not over. It's coming later tonight. With this line, as I mentioned, and these not really supercells yet, but these storms that are kind of popping up into southern Indiana and northern Kentucky. If I put the motion on for you, you can see how those are they're moving northeast, and they will be moving in to Indiana and Ohio over the next couple hours into our coverage area. So just wanted to come on here, give everybody a brief update again, in case you missed the last one of what we're watching for. Again, do not let your guard down tonight. The threat is not over until we get all these storms through and we give you the all clear. But until then, stay tuned to Bell Park Weather Network, Ohio News and Weather. If you haven't, download our app. It's free in the App Store. You can see it in the bottom there. That's the icon that you'll be looking for in the App Store or Google Play Store. Just search up ONW or Ohio News and Weather, and you can download that, and you can get custom alerts sent to your phone. You can get personalized weather forecasts. You can get alerts when there's rain moving into the area. It's a really interactive radar. It's a really crucial app on a day like this. So for the Bell Park Weather Network, I'm Brant Warren. I'm going to sign off for now. If we need to come back on in a little bit, we will. But do not let your guard down. All modes of severe weather are still possible. Stay safe, everybody. Hello, everybody. Forecaster Brant Warren breaking back in here because we just had a tornado watch issued for a large part of our coverage area. So I just want to go ahead and bring that up here. We'll go ahead and bring that up, and it's the counties. It's not quite here yet. It hasn't quite popped into the system yet. Just waiting for that to pop up here. You can see these counties down in Kentucky. Almost the entire state of Kentucky is under a tornado watch this afternoon. So, as we... Yep, there it is. So, we have it in our group chat. But for some reason, it's not popping up here. But this does include Chillicothe, Columbus, Portsmouth, Dayton, and a couple counties in our Indiana coverage area. So I'm gonna try to turn this off and on again and see if this works. For some reason, it's not populating here, but it's kind of, I think it's under a tornado watch this afternoon. So, ooh, sorry about that. Don't want to hear myself. It's kind of this general area here, circled in blue. This is where the tornado watch is going to pop in here any second. And the hazards include a few tornadoes are likely. There it is. So there, you just saw it pop in there. We're going to go ahead and trash that. So these counties that are shaded in yellow, as of now, are under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. And normally, on the threat information, it says a few tornadoes are possible. But with this warning, or watch, it says a few tornadoes are likely. So the threat has not died down. Scattered gusty winds up to 75 miles per hour are likely, and scattered hail up to 2 inches in diameter is likely. None of these are note the wording there. It's not possible. It's likely. So this goes until 10 p.m. this evening. For the basically the central Ohio and points east and west, south and west from Columbus, and a few of our counties in Indiana, for the this line of storms that is currently moving through the southern part of Indiana and northern Kentucky, which will eventually work their way into our coverage area over the next few hours. We're also seeing some supercellular type storms wanting to form. These are just purely rain showers now, but we are watching to see over the next couple of hours if these decide to fire. Again, there's multiple factors that if you've been watching the broadcast for the last hour or so, there's multiple factors we are watching today. Number one, we've had a lot of rain this morning across central Ohio. How does that factor in when the storms make it to that area? Is the energy zapped? Is it still there? Are they able to fire up and keep going and strengthening? We'll just have to wait and see when they get there. Another question is the cloud cover. We've had most of us have seen a lot of clouds today. I know me for one. I've seen a few breaks in the sun or breaks in the clouds, and the sunshine's been coming through. But there has been a lot of sunshine across the southwestern part of Ohio, where the tornado watch is. So that's another factor. When these storms move into that area, what are the conditions going to be like, and is the atmosphere going to be primed? Is it going to be fired? Is it going to be able to be fired? So there's multiple things that we're watching. Again, it's just a wait and see situation. Wait until these storms move into those areas, and we will see what they do a little bit later on here. So looking over your questions, Russell's Point, I know you guys have just went through a awful experience a couple weeks ago. From the devastating EF3 tornado that moved through that area. But currently, the good news for your area is you are not under a tornado watch. The risk is still there, though, later on. I'll go ahead and turn the Outlook back on. And you can see the area. So you're very close to the moderate risk. You are in the enhanced risk. So as I said, the greatest risk for severe weather is in this pink box, or pink area right here. I know there's a lot going on the radar, so let me try to, I'm going to turn the watch off real quick so we can see. This moderate risk area, that is our that is where we're watching for the strongest chance for severe weather. Now that doesn't take away from the other categories you see here. Here's the moderate, here's the moderate, here's the enhanced, here's the slight, here's the marginal. So all of our coverage area is under some sort of categorical risk for severe weather today, and that's going to continue to be the case until we can get these storms through after midnight tonight out of our the eastern part of our area. So it does not matter what category of severe, or what risk category you are in, severe weather is possible throughout the entire area today. That includes likely some tornadoes. Some of those could be rather large or long tracked. That's been the wording used by the Storm Prediction Center. Large hail and damaging winds is also a threat. So all modes of severe weather are possible across the entire region today. But our strongest risk is in this moderate risk area here. So, yes. So I'm going to pop back up. I'm going to turn off the categorical outlook. And we're going to pop back on the tornado watch for you. And in these yellow counties right here, basically for Columbus points south and west and extends into Indiana. That is where the tornado watch is until 10 p.m. tonight. You can see the wording from the Storm Prediction Center. A few tornadoes are likely to develop. A couple intense tornadoes are possible. Scattered damaging winds are likely, with isolated significant gusts as high as 75 miles per hour. Scattered large hail likely, with isolated very large hail events to 2 inches in diameter. So some of this language that they're using in here we don't usually see in this part of the country a whole bunch of times throughout the year. As I mentioned earlier, the moderate risk sometimes is issued once a year. Maybe we don't have one every other year. So again, we're just reading through some of the language here. The environment favors the potential for a couple strong tornadoes, which are EF2 plus type tornadoes. Large hail 1 to 2 inches, and occasional damaging wind gusts from 60 to 75 miles per hour possible, even higher, because earlier today we did get a report, actually it's right here, of a 92 mile per hour wind gust associated with storms that moved through earlier today. So definitely do not let your guard down. I'm going to take the watch off now, and you can see, if you've been watching a little bit earlier today, you know that there was not any severe weather active along this line, and you can see several severe thunderstorm warnings now. So, and one very large one just popped in there that is just south of Indianapolis. So, as we continue to move through the next few hours, the atmosphere is going to play a major role in this. Those 3 factors that I mentioned earlier, we'll have to see how the storms interact when they move into that area. But again, a tornado watch for Columbus points south to Portsmouth and points west to Richmond, Indiana, all the way over to Cincinnati as well until 10 p.m. tonight. So that's what we're working with right now. We're continuing to monitor information from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center. We will pass along any new information that we get. So keep your guard up. Don't let your guard down. The severe weather threat is definitely not over. We are just getting started with it, with this line moving and these showers here that might turn into supercellular type thunderstorms. So we are just getting started, and the sun is out of my house now, which is going to potentially destabilize the atmosphere a little bit more as these storms begin to move into our coverage area. So don't let your guard up. Have a safety plan in place. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. We cannot stress that enough. Whatever those methods are, have multiple ways to receive warnings, preferably not sirens, because we have seen, unfortunately, stories of how people rely on tornado sirens and they end up losing their life because they don't hear them. So we don't want that to happen to you. We want everybody to be safe, and we can all get through this together throughout the day today. So With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the audio portion of this here. I'm going to keep the radar up, and you'll see the loop here of the storms. Not really anything going on in Ohio. We have some storms up here near Lima and Bellefontaine, but they are non-severe. But this line back in Indiana is what we're currently watching for the main bulk of our severe weather today, and the storms out ahead of this as well. So for the Bell Park Weather Network, I'm Brant Warren. We'll pop back in here if we need to, but again, tornado watch for southwestern and parts of central Ohio until 10 p.m. That is for this line of storms getting ready to move into our coverage area. Until then, we'll talk to you later. Good evening, everybody. Weather forecaster Brant Warren here in the Weather Center. Just to give you an update on what's going on out here. We have been watching for the past couple of hours this line, if you've been watching the radar stream, this line of storms that have been moving through Indiana, and we mentioned that this has the potential to be the main bulk activity of our severe weather today, as well as the storms that are popping out ahead of this line. And as you can see, if you've been watching the radar stream the past couple minutes, you just saw 2 tornado warnings be issued for the storm. Now that's because it's in 2 different weather service offices, so it looks kind of funky, but it's kind of just one warning here for one storm. You can see in the past couple scans, this is just on the border of our coverage area, by the way. So I want to let everybody know that this will be moving into our coverage area fairly shortly, and we will have continuing team coverage, just like we normally do during severe weather events. So, right now, it's pretty indicative of a tight couplet. You look at the reds and the greens on the radar like we always do, and this is the area that we're looking at right here for that potential tornado that's getting ready to move north of Worcester, Indiana. So, continuing to keep an eye on this line as it continues to move east. It's starting to strengthen a little bit. We're seeing some pockets of rotation, as you saw right there, and that's what we're going to see throughout the day. That's what we've been mentioning that we might see. So as this continues to move into our coverage area starts right here, so it's right on the border of our coverage area. And eventually, if this holds together, it will move into our coverage area, and we will have live team coverage of the severe weather event from the moment it begins till it ends. So I just want to let everybody know that we're continuing to watch this very closely. It does have a couple tornado warnings on this line, as you can see as we flip radar sources here. You can see some storms out ahead of this, and we're also watching this for the potential for some severe weather. So multiple areas that we're watching as this continues to move off to the northeast here. But again, this main line right now look at the way this is just wrapped up right there. That is very indicative of what we were worried about seeing today. And so far, it seems that the atmosphere has not stabilized a lot. Specifically in this area where the storm is. We'll have to see once it gets into southwest Ohio and our southwestern coverage area. But this is a huge signature right here. This is very, very indicative of some tight circulation and potentially a tornado on the ground. So no confirmation yet on that. Again, this is on the edge of our coverage area. I just wanted to let everybody know what we're watching for this line to move into our coverage area. And once it does, we will have nonstop team coverage throughout the day until the storms have exited to our eastern counties in eastern Ohio. That's usually where storms end, and that's seems like it's going to be the case again tonight. So stay tuned to Bell Park Weather Network. Stay tuned to Ohio News and Weather and all of our other pages. We will keep you up to date on the latest information. The plan right now is to end this live stream, the radar live stream, when we take over the live team coverage. So once that happens, you will see this stream end, and you will likely see a new one begin. At least that is the plan as of now. So if that changes, we will let you know. But until then, stay tuned. Everybody stay safe out there. Make sure you have plans, multiple ways to get warnings. Make sure your devices are charged, your battery backup banks, any electronics that you might need. Just be prepared for severe weather tonight.